I want you all to imagine this. You want to build a website. So you go ahead and you pick the best framework for the job, sveltekit. Very good first step. Then you spend a month in building the website. And after building this website, after the website works perfectly well in your local environment, you deploy the website. Just for you to notice one issue. This website loads slow. And then you're thinking that it could be a problem with the framework, but no, it's not a problem with the framework because we all know that sveltekit is optimized for speed. Svelte is optimized for speed. So your application by default runs very, very fast. But you've modified your website, you've done a lot of things, you've added this, you've removed that, and the website now runs slowly. And you don't know where the issue might be coming from because you go ahead and you check your code and everything seems fine. One thing most developers don't understand is when it comes to building UIs and building front end development, we deal with images a lot. And images can take as much as from one third to 50% of the content on the website. Images are really, really what draws attention. And when you're building your website, you need to have a direct focus on these images to make sure that you are serving them in the best possible manner. And when it comes to using a framework like sveltekit, it gives you multiple ways of doing this. Now, some of you might come from Next.js on React, and if you use Next.js, you know they have a very fancy component called the image component, and you might be thinking, oh, the sveltekit has this because of Next.js as an image component. It takes your image, cuts it to almost half the size, sells it in WebP or AVIF, and you might be thinking that the sveltekit has this. Well, by default, no, sveltekit doesn't have this, but sveltekit has multiple ways of you optimizing your images to serve them in the best possible manner. On my screen right here, I have an image of an anime of some kind, and this image is about 3 MB. This would be a bad decision to just serve this image as is. Now it would be fast on my local environment, sure, but when you deploy this, someone who has a very slow internet connection, it's going to take a long time for your website to load on their device, and even a longer time for the image itself to load up. And it also increases the bandwidth usage. So if you were storing your image on some kind of storage environment, you're going to be paying a lot more because of for every time that the image is gotten, that bandwidth usage is going to be counted. For example, we have a 3 MB image here and it's pretty low quality, but it's still really heavy. It's not optimized or it's not transformed, nothing, and we just serve it like that. It's going to be a lot of issues here, and it's going to greatly affect your site's performance. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. How can we optimize images in our sveltekit application? Now, there are three ways we can do this. The first way is by using the enhance image component, which is a component that was created by the team at sveltekit to run on any Vite project. Or we can use the Vite import. Now, Vite has a way of importing images dynamically and that catches the image so it doesn't have to be refreshed over and over again. And we can also use a content delivery network or CDN. So I'm going to be showing you how to use these three methods. But first of all, we're going to check out how enhanced images work and the benefit you get when you use the enhanced image component. Now, what is enhanced image? Well, enhanced image is more of a plugin than a component, but I call it a component because of the way you utilize it in your application. But it's a Vite plugin, right? Created by the sveltekit team, and it works not just in a sveltekit application, but on any Vite application. So if your application is built on Vite, you can use this. If it was built with React, built with Vue, but it's built on Vite, you can use this plugin. So this is basically how you use it. First of all, you install it and then you add it to your Vite config file. So let's follow the steps and then we can see the performance benefits that it gives us. Now I'm going to paste that line in my terminal and I will change it from from npm to pnpm, and I'll click. Let's change the install to add as well. If you're using npm, you can just leave it as it and then install. Give that a second or two to install. And once it's completely installed, you're going to want to add this to your Vite config. Let's go back to the docs and see we have the enhanced image here right in the plugin array. So we're just going to copy this part and then import it here. And in our plugins array, we just have the enhanced image. Now, how would we actually use this enhanced image, right? So first of all, make sure your dev server is running. Mine is already running. If you don't know how to run it, it's pnpm dev or npm run dev. And that should spin off the dev server. Go to this location so you can access yours. And what I'm doing is on the page, the route page, the route page, I'm basically loading that image as is. So I'm using the normal image tag and I'm using an absolute location to it in static because anytime it's in static, you can just don't need to put static here directly. You can just access it absolutely like this. And the name is anime.png. It's a PNG file. PNGs are not the best format to serve images on the web, but that is the way this image comes as is. And for example, we are just loading it the way it is. Give it the width of 500 and height of 500 and an empty alt, no issue. Now let's check out how this looks in our browser. So in the browser, we have the image right here. Right, I have my network tabs opened on the left because I want to show you guys something. But on the browser, this is where the image looks. It loads pretty fast. There's no issue. Let me refresh the page again. As you can see, the image loads as normal. Right. If you look at my left in the networks tab, you'll see that we actually seen the image that has been loaded. It tells us the name, tells us the status 200, meaning to successfully loaded. The type PNG, and then when you see this size, you see 4.1 MB, and then you see the time, which is about over 2 seconds. So that is crazy. Now I've disabled the cache because of by default the browser tries to catch it. If I did enable the cache, this would be lower once it loads it the first time it takes from the cache the second time. But by default, this is what you get: 4.1 megabytes, and that's the file because you didn't do any optimization, you didn't reduce this file, you didn't do nothing. So the browser is just going to load this as it is. The bandwidth is going to be crazy high. The resource size is really high. The transferred over network, as you can see, 4.1 MB, and the resource size 4.1 MB. That's a lot. You don't want that. You don't want one image to add 2 seconds to your load time. That is crazy. And the image is not even the best quality, as you can see. So how can we actually reduce this and still have a great quality that we can show on our websites? That's where enhanced image comes in. So how can we actually use enhanced image? It's very simple. Once you've place it in your Vite the way I did here, make sure you save this, and you can basically just use this enhanced img, and you can use this the way you would use a normal image tag like this. So make sure you spell enhance correctly, don't be like me. But enhance column image, and this will show yellow lines by default because of it doesn't know that this is not a self-closing tag. So one thing we can do to get rid of those lines, just close it like this. And what we can do is basically use the usual attributes we use in a image tag. We can use it here as well. Just this is just an image tag that is enhanced. So in the if you check the elements in the browser, we would see that this would output a picture tag with SRCs inside. So I can just paste this directly inside here, but you can see that the source is using this absolute part that won't actually work when using enhanced image. We'd have to use a relative part. And when it comes to using relative parts, I don't like putting them in my static folder. I like putting them in my lib assets. So I'm just going to say $ lib, because of it's in the lib folder and we can access it through the $. So slash access slash anime.png, right? And I'm going to get rid of this width and this height as well. It won't work with that. We need to use CSS, but let's not bother about the width or the height. But just talking about the size and how the image is transferred. So I'll save this and I'll check my browser now. You see two images here, right? So we have this one that has a width and height, and this one that doesn't. So it's really large. Let me just clear this network tab and refresh this so we can see just those two images. Now you notice that we have two images here. We have this anime.png and we have this one that seems to be um hashed in a way. It has this unique ID. The first one says the type is PNG, while the second one says the type is AVIF. So what enhanced image does, it tries to serve your images using two formats, WebP or AVIF. So if it doesn't support AVIF, it falls back to WebP. If your browser doesn't support WebP, then it falls back to the default that you gave it. But AVIF and WebP, those are the two best formats for serving images on the web. That's what it gives you. It gives you the best one, which is AVIF, if your browser supports it, which most browsers does. But the most important part of this is if you check the size. So when it's converted the type to AVIF, it ends up cutting down the size drastically. As you can see, this is far more than half. I don't even know. This is way less than half. As you can see, the original is 4.1 MB, while the one using enhanced image is 33 KB. That is a lot. And then the time as well, the original is about 2 seconds, or this is about 500 milliseconds. That is just something. And as you can see, it's basically the same quality, right? We didn't change the height and the width of this, but it's basically the same quality. And our image has been cut down drastically, right? So that's the first way of using it. Now I would say that this enhanced image has some caveats that you should know of. I don't want to go deep into enhanced image, but if you want a video just on enhanced image plugin, let me know down in the comments and I'll do one for you. Now let's move on to the second format, which is using the Vite import. Now the Vite import is very simple. We'll just get rid of this first of all. I'm going to use the normal image tag. Now the way the Vite import works is that it utilizes the cache, so it gives your image a unique ID, which enables it to be cached just once. So the first time it loads that crazy large image once, and then the second time that image wants to be loaded by that browser, it takes from the cache, and it's always going to be getting from that particular image because it has a unique ID now. So I can open a script tag here and GraySTS, and we can import. So I can import an image from $lib slash access slash anime.png, and I can access it on my SRC. So I'm using this. I can just go anime image, save this. Now what I will do is also create another image tag here, but this time we're using the normal way so that we can just see the difference. So they're going to be identical images, but so we can see the difference. I'm just gonna say anime.png, I believe. Save that. Now when we open our browser, we should see, yes, two images. Yeah, we have the first one using the Vite import and the second one using the normal tag. And let's clear this and refresh this. And now as you can see, we have basically the same thing showing, right? Now let's look at the network tab. The names are the same, the status is the same, the type is the same, the size is the same, and the time is the same, right? Basically they are the same. And when we refresh this, we don't see any performance benefit happen because of the cache has been disabled on my system. Now if I enable the cache and refresh this, you will notice that the status code has changed to 304 because now it's getting it from the cache and it's not modified, so it's getting it from the cache, and the size is basically reduced now in terms of like the transfer over network size has been reduced, the resource size is still the same, and the time has also been reduced as well because of now it's getting it from the cache. But both of them are still having the same, effect some sort. And when this Vite plugin comes into place, that it doesn't really care about the browser that you're using. The reason why we're having all this benefit because of you're using Chrome, if you're using Brave, if you're using Firefox, if you're using some other browser that might not have this, you might not be able to get this performance. And not just this, because of this Vite import gives your image again a unique ID, which makes it easy for the browser to know what image to cache. If you have two images with the same name, the browser will know which one to cache, so it's just going to bypass that, and that image will be loading the original. Whereas if you use the Vite import, it gives you a unique ID, and your image would always have a unique name that the browser can cache safely and always get the cached image. So the Vite import is not the best way of doing it. If you can use the Svelte enhanced image, the Vite enhanced image plugin, and you can just use the Vite enhanced image in place of the Vite import. It will always work far better than the Vite import. Now, the third way of doing this is by using a CDN, a content delivery network, and this is a use case that is very very important because a lot of times we let users store images by themselves. So a user can use your application, and if your application allows for a user to upload an image to your storage on the cloud, and then you're taking the image from the cloud and then you're putting it in your application. There's really no way for you to do that using maybe enhanced image or the Vite import. You can't do that because of the image is not known at runtime, the image is not known at build time. So when you get the image from the cloud, you can't really like transform it to do anything using the Vite enhanced image plugin. You can't do that at all. So there are solutions for this. There is, as I said, CDNs. And what the CDNs do is that they transform images on the fly, right? So if your image is on the cloud, before it gets to your website, you can just transform it on the fly. So as it's been fetched, you can just intercept it, transform it, take that original image, shut it down, take it to like an AVIF or WebP, whatever format you want. You can make it blurry, you can add some designs to it, do whatever you want before it gets to your website. So all those CDNs are really really powerful. We have a ton of them. We have the ones from Cloudinary, which is one of the most popular and by far one of the most powerful. So you can use Cloudinary. They give you very good free tier and free resources. The pricing is very very reasonable, and they also have sveltekit components that makes it very easy for you to integrate with them. We also have ImageKit, which is another good one. ImageKit.io, very very great. And we also have, which is my personal favorite, is Cloudflare and Cloudflare Images. So Cloudflare Images is my favorite, is the one that I use. And with Cloudflare Images, you can basically store, you can transform, you can optimize, and then you can deliver images. So you can also use this as a storage. If your application is some sort of Instagram clone, you can uh is an Instagram type of application. Let me not say Instagram clone, an Instagram type of application where users can store images and then retrieve those images. They want to see those images. You can use this Cloudflare image optimization because it allows you to store images and it's very very cheap. But even if you don't want to store images directly here, you have a storage bucket somewhere, or you want to use R2 or um, S3 or whatever, you can use that and then then deliver the images with this. You can optimize the images with this. You don't have to store the images directly here, so it works perfectly fine. And when it comes to using the CDNs, they can actually get very very complex, especially when you're using multiple CDNs, and you need to be checking out their size and SR sets and all these crazy things. So there's a component that actually makes this a lot easier for us to work with, which is called Unpic. Now remember when I talked about Cloudinary, I told you that they gave us this component for working with Svelte, right? So with Cloudinary, you can use the Cloudinary Svelte and it works perfectly fine, works very well. But for something like ImageKit or Cloudflare, they don't have a component. So for you to be able to get all these features and all these nice things in your applications without stressing, there's a component called Unpic, and Unpic is a collection of tools for working with images on the web. So it's very very great. It's very very powerful, and they also support basically pretty much all the frameworks out there. So as you can see, we have Astro, we have Angular, Lit, Preact, Quick, React, Solid. The one we are looking for is Svelte right there. So we still have Svelte, and it works perfectly fine with the Svelte. All you need to do is just install it, follow the docs, and it works very nice. So if you also want a tutorial on Unpic, again in the comment section, just let me know, and I will do one just for you. And that's it. That's all. So if you have images on your application, make sure you optimize them properly. And there's basically no excuse at this point. Now, if the image is in directly in your folder, you can optimize using enhanced images. Or if it's somewhere else, you can optimize using the CDN. And if your CDN makes it very difficult for you to use, you can use the Unpick components to make that a lot easier, because the Unpick is kind of agnostic when it comes to CDN. It works with pretty much all CDNs that I've tested it with. So it works with Cloudflare, it works with Cloudinary, it works with whatever you can think of works with them, works with some CMSs as well. So it's very, very great component for you to add and it works with images. So I want you guys to start taking care of your images properly. Image is something that most people don't talk about. It's something that these devs on YouTube just keep shocking out content. They don't tell you these things, and image would really affect your site if it's not done properly. So make sure you take your time and research, do more work, and make sure your images are served properly. And if you guys like this video, you can smash the thumbs up button. If you want to see more content, you can subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.